Maneo ngechukisa sana kunisala. Bambie fiyako. Shoma kuteko tule milombo kufira mukitepo chikokwena. Sala yachi na kuwachi.
Hi Teresa.
We mufiachi. Watu fiala niwe tule diunioni. Mayo. Kumfaifa fwela tule ishanya.
Hi Peter. Na mufuruga. Na mufuruga Joseph, hey. Good evening. Good evening. First aturaisho. First mi poshe yako. Na mufuruga ka. So this time I hope banamayo na muipika. Barumemenu na badia. And then now you can get glued to this video. Okay? So Justin, Evans, first mi poshe James, another James, Liwangano, there's some familiar faces. Mick, Chirwa, Kuna Emmanuel, Kapinga. I'm doing some shout outs here. Meshek, Joanne, and finally, Nicholas, Nyangu, Chazal, Jesus. Justin, watch that, yeah, Triwana Mayanda. So come catch what Morasamba, Adia, Vanamanda plus Vanamachito, Kukosa. Clifford, you are here finally. Francis, Zulu Joanne, Mick Chirwa, Peter. Peter said hi. Joseph Walia, Marim Furugaga, last ka. I don't even Furuka. First, I better put on Furuka, go sing on size. One chafia, pun chafia san. Crapun the chair, last chair, chikata chair, wakurega chair, waktamba. Dan Muliata is here. Liza Liqueni, I hope I pronounced that well. John Goma, James, Henry, Atsano, Furukasanaga. Splendid live TV. You want to join? I think I need to start doing the Zoom thing that Queen Impumi is doing for you guys to join in. For some reason, this page does not allow people to join. With this page. Glued to hear more, Queen Coco. Bristol, hi. Francis. Fax, then the child, I to my shut down. Mom, let's share what you guys are. Peter Sonda, shout out to Mulewe. Justin, Chifa, Eric, Fabian, good evening, guys. And you missed me, Joanne Bishek. Nada me Furgas, Evaristo, thank you, James Choco. As I just pressing on your last post, the Kula Tampia. Kutali. Mary M. Kunda, how are you? Chileshe, long time, yes. How have you been? Chileshe Chimba, Maximilian, Enes Chansa. First of all, kucha ko pak tumkwana ko 200 kucha ko tuma shoutouts na mi posha ko na mo posha ko ish kushide yaini Florence Chola Mutale Bernard, I was waiting for you. You're making a show, otherwise no one can challenge you. Justina, I have to be fast. Michael, Caesar, Kasim, Matthews, Richard, is it Vichel Junior Jerry? I see you too, blah. Blonde, come on, blow. Blonde, tamba blow. Peter. Dai pangi kasara che. Mwewa bitan, wamu minyoi, chair, last. A chair lady in the building, Francis in Dalama, Joseph, what bringing on lady. Okay, now shout 200 inch to come shout outs. Golden, Mbuzi, hi, Michael Bush, hi, I'm good. But I thought less lang if Sunkaili. George, Kaluba. George is the one who calls me Kaluba. I love the Kaluba name, you know that? Let me see some of the shout outs. Lloyd Chiwe is here. Gilbert Kalunga is here. Katongo, come on, Katongo. Aaron saying finally. Tori Munchen, Davis, I see you too. Moses. Oh, Tuzan Wakala. So guys, I've got a Tuzan. Blow them, Tamba Blue. Yeah? Fear police Francis. Hey, yes, blue. Hey, yes. In 2 minutes, I just see that. No, parangana, but to reframe Burura. Aba wesi miposhencha kaoma kawetown Messi aba tureishwana guys tureishwana chalo chesu wonse Justin Mwanza titwafika 228 Lupupa Bwalia hi Catherine Chabula hi Annie Nakamba hi okay guys mulibachika okay daidali bitemo okay fedaile okay bwalite bwalaidali bitemo one love Laxon Lindiwe Kiza Gertrude, Lodgers Chembe, Mary M. Kunda, Mwansa Mwenya, Junior, Nakonde in the Biu, Kesson is one of the familiar faces. Simon Isaac, Blood, I see you, Blood, I see you. James Mukweba, Jomwa, Jesse, Frederick, Justin Mwanza, Les Lungwe, George Mumbi. Oh my goodness, this love, This love, you guys, Susan, Jim James, Emmanuel Chalwe, Edith Chileshe. Oh, Trisha kwa chirimbo, papa mrefu if my shout out, no problem. Joseph Kasonde, Zanji Josh, I see you. Mwewa Beaton, I see you, bro. Fwasani Kabombo, Faka Pressure, Tidaonayo, Abel Kanda, Elias Singwa, Bonwell, Moses, Sheikh Takatongo, Fibo Poke, Breja Bulera Pia, James Bukwada, Gerard D, Kasogo, Edwin, dear. If my 5 minutes shout outs, Briwe, from chair to you, my love, Chanda Evans, Edgar, Kalunga, Tanya, Chirandorera Bati, to the Wakureka, Namlala, Daniel Piri, Justin Wanza, who else? Obren Yerenda, Zilikwane at 207. Okay, guys. Mwafula, apatier, I'm a shout outs we've done. First thing, Mom Charit, we welcome Mishak Lungu, Joe Mwanza, Jean, you are welcome. You are well, everyone. Now let me tell you what Obren Yerenda was. Let's play some music, okay? Balanchi kole miau nukumilinga amakulandele shelo Really la professeur Michel pour Michel. Dernier quoi t'es action. Dernier quoi moi là what tu fais pas. Amaye. Comme là tu vas toucher. Tiens, on va t'es Chad, what is it? Kabila, Ukuyolu Cheno, Kaswale Chuyo, Matule Filwa, Munandua Mitengo ya Fiakuya, Naichi Labo, Shafie, Amachushi, Mufundo wa Mano. Oh, it's a beauty. Kuli Batata, Abukeko. Hey, Nakawana, yes, boy, Munche, thank you, boy, for joining. Sunga baru kwa wesu. You play too much. Give it up for me. Are you joking? Are you serious? Naulina, Ukuchila, Mayubi, Nabambita, Bomba, Ishikishafe, Amachushi, Mufundo wa Mano, Ayalenga, Tukweli Mayo, Tukuri Batata, Babu Teko, Langwena, Ikata, Ikatile Yashuka, Hichilema, Turefiwano, Musunga Baru Kwaresu.
Alamayo
Landeni na batata
Mabuteko
Batuberere koruze Balunde pipi Batushire ko Mafure maranda
Ukufana
Ukunwano kupepa
Emunando
Ichikulukuria wino Antwisala Ayachira moila leto musebanya
Alamayo
Landeni na batata Abuteko Batuberere koruze Balunde pipi Batushire ko Mafure maranda
Ukufana
Ukunwano kupepa
Emunando
Ichikulukuria wino Antwisala Ayachira moila leto musebanya Remember, Mashallah Lumo, then we start talking, okay? Let's work. Kai, in the first Kwashala Lumo. Then we start talking. One more song. Then we start 520. Oh my goodness! Even you guys. Woo! It's Friday. This is your Friday. Don't go in out and wait the Taraba. Yarikos. Yeah. So this is will be your Friday. Osana!
Osana Ikaletwa ufwa Ula shibwa kwe
Pole pole
Kabilie machechi elo Tabeba mwana mayo Ikaletwa ufwa
Ulo shibwa kwe pole pole
Kabilie machechi elo Tabeba mwana mayo Kaulia mwana wafwile
Pole pole Aipeyo mwana Mika kuchikayo yutata
Kaulia mwana wafwile Pole pole Aipeyo mwana Mika kuchikayo yutata Kaulia mwikwa wafwile Pole pole Aipeyo mwikwa Posa kukulimi wanyanje Kaulia mwikwa wafwile
Pole pole
Aipeyo mwikwa Posa kukulimi wanyanje Nikalekwa likokufa Alaine papa file Ujiroda pole pole Na olindu
Goje
Nganga ya isa munu chalo Yali mwikende Papa shama tukuma bai Ema kapa Tunukuta lose
Luai malua bakani lati
Tatwa sumina munganga Fwebe na leza mupamba Chechi yonse Yaima ya bakani nati Kukusumina munganga Fwebe na leza lisambi
Nalena kwenda kulekana Tabusumiye
Apole pole mafuila kuchitandala mwimu
Hey
Ela kwenda kulekana
Apole
Pole mafuila kuchitandala mwimu Achiso cha vale
Nabai boku minwe
Abakulu bakiani chimeba
Ichichela papeniko
Chichichea ya pole pole
Nilomba lyakwe
Wina shente kalesa
Mweba nazi Lesa tabekwa Alaseba
Nyelingilile
Nipapeso ya bantu
Shente kalesa mweba nesu Esa tabekwa
Alaseba nyelingilile
Nipapeso ya bantu Yachitile munyina umbi Koni faleshi
Alesa chitapepa mwaka
Ubanakwe Chilaka chafu waka chamu chita uyo Aima muimumba Kushoko lukungulu wa kisasa
Asondeka
Lulwa bulumilo ashinya
Apo samo
Ulitumba wengolo shija kwele
Yalafuka
Baria ekele abanakwe
Wamole chushi Chalafuka Mwitoloshi Peta
Kalia muntu Apo ekele abanakwe Bamone chuchi
Chalafuka Mwitoloshi Peta
Kalia muntu Nishani tata bamulepya Kamufile
Ukwimini na kwaka ya
Pula mwitolo shitebumba Nishani tata bamulepya Kamufile
Ukwimini na kwaka ya
Pula mwitolo shitebumba Akiso cha kwaka kalila
Wa mutule
Sakame kwa imwe bamupina
Wakula sebana
Kanshala pole pole mleukwa Bali bacheche no dala ko sasa Kaiba kulicha abo bose bashinzwe amaka
Cheche oda
Bali kwete romba kunganda Bali ngaba kashima ngo kutila Barena ile lombo gwali.
Are you married? That's right, we don't talk about marriage here.
Awe mpaka kuikala basuka balomba chiuti wamuchiko kutolepo kuya balamona abafashikushi chachi neyo baile bashirire nifunde kubana kuti bali nayo gwali yofini abana bali yofini baka wansande bawishimo balishimukira mu chechi abana ngabayo koyo nomba kuno bashele barabirwa mkude yechiyenga bakalira kasitaka yakale para mamukufuma ilo bayikushatiye katina hiyo kwa feni efa bashike bayo abana feni babako ekuya nayo kwali wa mulubiro nokuya itira kuchindi kula kunenishi nawo kaba ilo mali yambo kupyaku babisa pole pole bwa kuchechi ilo mali lepya bachi wagize baleti mukayapya mwe bakwata fumanga Noma bambo kulanga napya
huko
napya huko awengeni
okay rashana sana
kiromba kumando kunomba yao
this is to come in the mood where starts speaking life to life sokora no
abana kunganda bayima utwaye bashirwati kunganda feni nafwa bakumanya bashira sorry no batata baremrenda twaba wisona bafwa babajao twajiza tutumeme kwenda kungando kunafwa hapo chimo lebe tete chimona oh kuya samba chachile ichiri romba abantu bapa bafebele baneleza tebakwemba iyo
tate wako ina kwa masange
kaletu abali yokufa ide papa pie achechiye no tapole pole naoni beshiye nanga ya isamuno chiano yali mwitete papa shabantu kumabai emakaba chechi yonse.
All right, enough of that. I just wanted to get you in the mood. I need some air. All right, so good evening, guys. So tonight we're going to talk about, first of all, I'll talk about PF a little bit. Then I'll talk a little bit about the current situation that I saw. There's a picture, I think I posted on this page. There's a picture of people queuing up for meal. Okay, so we're gonna touch that. And then I will finish with talking about or showing or proving to you that UPND is not taking Zambia anywhere. And I promise to prove to you that tonight, I'm going to prove to you people, I'm going to prove to the 20 million Zambians, including the UPND, they're including the 20 million Zambians, that Eric Gachagua is smart and intelligent. I'm going to prove, I don't speak without facts. I speak with, so I'm going to prove it to you. Okay? And because I want to prove it to you, I shared a video of last night live video. If you've not seen that live video, go to Queen Mpumi's page whenever you have time. Go to our page, listen to that video. I actually sat down and I listened to that video for the all 2 hours they were live. And this video featured Mark Lushimba. Now, if you don't know Mark Lushimba, this is one of our Congolese brothers that are so concerned of what's going on between Congo and Zambia. Okay? So, I won't talk much. I won't show you the video, but you have seen the video that I've posted on my page. If you know that video, I've put a link to Queen Mpumi's page. You can go and watch that video, and I want you to listen very carefully to that video. Balandat ukwali nsoke takwafuile muntu. Okay? If we Zambians, we need to start taking things seriously. Not fepakano apapene. We need to start acting. And the time is now when there's still time. It's now or never. You need to start acting. By youth, I'm talking to you as your fellow youth. I'm saying, not just speaking, we move on. Like the way we've moved on over the 13 abducted girls, that case. We've moved on and we've forgotten about it. Like it never really happened. But it happened. And that's our tendency. As Zambians, we quickly move on and forget things are happening. So I want you guys to go and watch that video. And I want you to start questioning things. I want you guys to start questioning yourselves. If this is really what's going on, where do we see Zambia in the next 10, 15 years? Where are we going to be? Okay? Evelyn Banda says she watched the video. If you've not seen that video, go to her page. The video is there. Information is there. Okay? So, let's start with what's happening with the PF. Okay? So, as we all know, PF is supposed to hold the convention in March, right? And what has transpired is Mao Sampa was suspended. And the reason that he was suspended, we all know that he went live, started scandalizing his fellow candidates, his fellow presidential candidates. Now everybody's talking about PF rebranding, PF won't rebrand, blah, 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 blah. But one thing that people forget is PF is not a Kantemba. Do you understand? PF is not just about Given Luwinda, by Nixon Changwa, by Mao Sampa, by Honorable Chimba Kambwili, by Honorable who's this? Brian Mundubile, by Honorable Chitaru Chirufia. But these are just figureheads that are there on top. But beyond those figureheads, there's a bunch of youths that are keeping an eye on PF and they're keeping that party together. Because even if the youth say, okay, PF is enough, these youths that are watching, 673 people watching. There is a reason why they are watching. I'm talking about PF. Most of these people may be youths. Others, they're just adults. But we have 681 people watching here. So it's not about Nixon Chilangwa. It's not about Given Luwinda. No. We, the young people, are keeping PF. We, the Zambian people. But I don't know what I'm saying. The unseen people are the ones that are keeping PF. Because once we stop talking about PF, then PF will be dead. But the fact that we constantly talk about PF, it is alive. You don't talk about something that's dead. You don't. It's alive. And it's alive in the Zambian youth. And I think the top leadership right now should start realizing, the top leadership in PF should start realizing the impact of the Zambian youth. These leadership, some of them, try and start incorporating young people in these serious positions. That's the only way you're going to keep PF alive. Because if we say, okay, fine, PF, we forget. That's it. It's gone. People that are fighting for PF are the people that you can't even see in these, what's called, the courts, the SCCA. Those are not fighting. They're not fighting. These are figureheads we've put to say, okay, fine. These are the people representing us. But beyond those people in the courts, SCC and whatnot, there are 1.8 million Zambians, even beyond that now, that are keeping PF together, that are holding on to that boat, that don't want to cross or sink or whatnot, because there is possibility, there is hope that PF will sail through this storm, will sail through. So we are holding on to that boat. And not just because we are supporting PF. No, we are holding on to PF because our sovereignty as Zambians depend on what happens with PF. You understand? The sovereignty of our country will be determined by what happens with PF. I know we've got opposition party. And I'm not saying they're not doing enough. They are doing enough. But PF is the second largest opposition party. Not even opposition. It's the second largest party. Second to UPND. Why I'm saying second to UPND, because UPND are the one in government. You understand? But it's the first biggest opposition party. And this is the reason why even the parties that have been developed now, they need to also see to it that PF has to go through with the convention in a very democratic way, and a president has to be chosen. So we're watching what is happening, and we're not happy. Bamaus, we are not happy with what you're doing. And frankly speaking, I don't think any well-meaning Zambian can vote for you to be a Republican president. I'm saying this live, and I'm not saying because I have a special presidential candidate or I'm supporting. I'm saying it in all honesty, with the truth. Because what you've paraded on social media, what you've done on social media is not what a democratic person can do. You are there serving your own interest and not the interest of the party and not the poor people of the country. Because if you did serve the interest of our sovereignty, you'd be defending our sovereignty. And it doesn't matter whether you become president or PF. But as long as you play a part in keeping the nation together, then you've done your part. It's not about who's going to emerge top boss. This is the problem with African politics. It's a problem with African leaders. You want to be seen as the big boss. This time around, there's nothing like being a big boss. This time around, we are fighting for what KK fought for. And it is about the sovereignty, our natural resources, ending anger. The fight should be against anger, not amongst ourselves, not amongst your political opponents. You should be fighting to end poverty in Africa, end poverty in Zambia, removing those people that are living poverty lines and taking them at least even for poverty lines. Then you know you're working, not dragging them down. What I saw in that picture of people queuing up at ZNS just so they can buy mili meal at 150 kwacha, it's a sad sight. For a political party that paraded itself all over social media, said how great it is, how it's going to do things differently, how it's going to lower the cost of living, how it's going to bring bags of minimum at 50 kwacha. It's really, really shameful and a sad sight. And there comes Bapre Singer. They go, oh, Badiale bomba, Badiale bomba, Badiale bomba fish. What is he doing? How do you even praise that? To say, oh, he listens to the people have cried. How gullible can you be? How blind are you that you're going to clap for people queuing up to buy a bag of mili meal at 150 kwacha because they've reduced it from 200 or 250 kwacha? Mind games. By UPND, you're playing mind games. And the reason I'm saying by UPND is playing mind games with you, the Zambian people, is this. What did they do with electricity? Example, let's go to the electricity. First, they came out saying they've ended load shedding. And all we've done is buy 5 gensets that were missing. It's just prudence, management. That's how they came. And everyone was clapping. 1 month, 3 weeks later, you start experiencing load shedding. And then we're saying, you are selling electricity. No, they come out. They're not selling electricity. It's because by PF, according to who's this goal, whatever. But PF finished the water in Kariba. What? Then the truth comes out, yes, we are selling electricity. Why are you selling electricity? No, because we had surplus. Why did you not channel that surplus or keep it? Because now we are experiencing load shedding. And the reason I'm saying again, they are playing mind games is this. First, they started you with how many hours of load shedding? How many hours did they start with load shedding? They gave you 12 hours, right? 12 hours. Some youths were arrested even on that. Freedom of speech, you say. Then they come back and say, we've reduced it to 8 hours. And pressing as they clap. Okay, then 4 hours. How do you move from clapping that we've ended load shedding to clapping for 8 hours of load shedding. How do you move from that to that? Mind games. Mind games. Dirty mind games. What you are playing with the Zambian people. Then on top of that, the electricity that was being exported is now being imported back. And you had a minister on some radio say, no, we are not importing electricity. We've just got enough fuel. ZESCO, whatever. And this is the coordination that I talk about in UPND. There's no coordination. So the ZESCO really says, oh, we've imported about such and such amount of electricity. Minister imports. So now, where is the logic in this? It's you are exporting something. We tell you why you're exporting this. Oh, shut up! What? Few months later, you start importing the same thing that you were exporting, and you want people to clap to say "Mule bomba." Mind games. The only explanation that can really make logic in the importation of electricity that was exported is this. It's either from wherever you exported electricity, you have shares and you are benefiting. And you use the money from the country to, you export electricity. We don't know how that money that you got from exporting electricity, what you used it in the country. We have no idea because there's no transparency, there's no explanation. So then, after knowing that, we don't know the money where it's gone. Then you start using again government money to import, to pay outside. So it's either you are paying yourselves outside there by using the exportation of electricity outside. And then you're using government resources to pay yourselves outside there. I think that's the only logical explanation I could give. Because it doesn't make sense at all. If you've got power, you've got power deficit, and you are exporting, and you subject your people to blackouts, then you come back to say, oh wait, if it's the previous government, what? Then all of a sudden, you come to realize to say, you start importing. So who are you paying that money? If you said you signed a contract with Mozambique, for example, that binds you to continue exporting money, then you start importing electricity. So have you signed another contract with Mozambique for Mozambique to sell Zambia electricity? And if you've signed, what is in that contract for you to start importing back electricity? Mind games. And we are not asleep, we are awake. Another example I'm going to give you that this is mind games that they are playing with you is this. Let's talk of the exchange rate. Let's talk of the exchange rate. What happened? That was in June. And the president came on social media saying, oh, I've got all those posts. How are you taking this fall in dollar by importer? He actually asked the economist, can you explain to the people of what this fall in a dollar, of this appreciation of kwacha means? What did you do, by pressing? You went. Yeah, I went on the president's page. I wrote. This time I don't even go on the president's page because there's no point. I gave him chance for him to prove to us to say he's actually doing something for the Zambian people. So I don't waste time. You never see him comment on his page. Never. I stopped. But before, because I was so much interested that I wanted to really give him chance to, so that I can be convinced to say he's actually doing something for Zambia. I used to comment. So last year in June, I went on his page, I commented. I said, Mr. President, how can Zambians take this appreciation of kwacha when it has not even, it's just 2 days or 1 day kwacha yapona. Let's give it 6 months or even 3 months and see how the kwacha will do. Because it's not, what's the word? I've forgotten the word. It's not conclusive that this is how the kwacha will behave in the next 2 years. Or in the next 2 months, sorry. But pressing jumped on my comment. Hey, she's always negative. They call me that I'm negative, eh? It's fine. Okay, it's a democratic right to find me negative. I don't speak about anything positive. That's what they say. So, I said that on the president. Hey, pap to the 2 months. Pap to the 2 months. Kwacha started depreciating. They were clapping for the fall in inflation. What came out, I think, end of the year, December 2022, was that the Bank of Zambia had released foreign reserve onto the market to caution the depreciation of the kwacha. They released that. So they made this artificial appreciation, and you clapped. If I tell you that right now the Bank of Zambia again has released money, the foreign reserve, to cushion this kwacha for, and it has got no effect now. Tapai ifichindishe, the dollar is there. And I asked them before to say, do you actually think America will sit down and fold their arms and watch their dollar depreciate? You actually think like America will do that? What? Because even America wants to see to it that their currency becomes the most well-doing currency. So they will introduce policies that will make sure the dollar continues to do well against other currencies. Oh, but you are well, open up the market. Hey, what? What is happening with the exchange rate? Mwadishinga bantu bata to say, oh, what is happening with the exchange rate? Ask yourselves that. That brings me with the same thing with Mill. 2021, they started exporting maize. I said, that was in 2021, Shba winner for my elections. Amataba aya shireba PF. And my PF in 2021, they had bumper harvest. I've done a video before and I've made those, I've given you information on how much they harvested in 2021. But what do? They come in. What do? They start exporting maize. Throughout 2021, throughout 2022, they were exporting maize. I wrote an article. You cannot export maize, considering the fact that you don't know how your harvest is going to be next year. There's no leeway. They were at that time, they were even saying, we are banning the cutting down of trees, charcoal banners, what. And I questioned that. The article is there if you wish to find it. But again, they labeled me as a negative person. Fast forward 2023, January. What is happening? What is happening in Zambia right now? Balichta export amataba ku DRC. And there's rumor to say some of these big people, they've got millers in DRC. I wouldn't be surprised if those maize that they've brought in the country is from Congo and they are selling it at 150 and you think they've agreed with the millers in Zambia. Whilst them, they are making profits. Because there is rumor that some of your people, the big people that you are clapping for, they've got millers in Congo. Where were they exporting maize? They were exporting maize in Congo. So I wouldn't be surprised if they've brought in truck loaded with meal so that they can make a profit, kill the millers, the Zambian millers, by forcing them to reduce prices that are not cost reflective, whilst them they are making profits because they are bringing in fuel cheap, for them fuel, they get cheap. Government. You understand? So I wouldn't be surprised that that's what's happening. Mind games. So it doesn't end there. What do? They go to the millers. They hold this press whatever briefing. They impose on millers to say, okay, you'll be selling at this. When you talk to millers, you have to come to an agreement. Because those guys, there's production cost and transportation cost. So if the millers cannot produce enough meal, it's because the demand is high and the supply is low due to various factors. Factors like production costs are high, transportation costs are high, and recently the UPND government increased fuel. You understand? So you expect prices of commodities to go up. But I'll give it to them. They come in, they hold this press conference talking as if millers, they own the millers to say reduce. But when the government does that, it has to pay a caution on top. You understand? I'll give you an example in the UK, right? With the energy sector, electricity. So, electricity companies increase prices because of, okay, what's happening in Ukraine and what, blah, 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 blah. But they knew that people, this is too much for the people. So the government of the UK said this. They started paying Chilanganda household every month £60. Chilanganda every month £60. That's £60. They were not giving us muminwe. It was going in your account. We have accounts as electricity. We have an account where when you deposit money, it pays off your debt with the electricity company. So the government was paying directly to the electricity providers. So unless by UPND are telling us that that's the agreement they've made with the millers to say, okay, yes, Ubunga at 230, it's cost reflective. So if you provide Ubunga at 150, this 80 kwacha, as the government will pay you, then yes, that's making sense. But if it's just imposing on them to say, Imwe, akushchen Ubunga, 150, then they are killing these people's businesses. Killing them so. And what will happen if these businesses shut down? One, there will be job losses. Two, you start importing Ubunga. And the only people that will be really benefiting from the importation of Ubunga is where the millers, that's where there will be the benefit. And Impia will always be outside Zambia, not within Zambia. So, why are they not tantaminating everywhere in the world? Why is it Kaunda Square, whatever? Why is it just Lusaka that they are tantaminating? So, this mill that has come in, I'm really going to look into it. It doesn't look, it looks very fishy. It's either now, Yalamata State export is the same maize that has come in the country as finished product. You understand? The question is, who do you think is benefiting? Moffat says, it's true. Moffat is in the UK. I'm not lying. He says he gets £67 on electricity. So, if you're from Muletota, there's nothing to, there's so much mind games that you think. And you know, when you are hungry, if you're feeling about Chanda ba picket shal, ukutontonkanya kula rubana. Techu ufike po mkutontonkanya. Cause insala ilo mikisha. Mwaimona. Insala ilo mikisha. So the fact that there's a rumor somewhere that maize was taken to their millers, it could be the same maize that has been imported and they're selling you at 150 kwacha and you're saying, oh, now where's your bunga? But this is a temporal measure. What Zambia needs is a long-lasting solution. It's a temporal measure and it will reflect on what is happening with the kwacha. Mona, wawanen tuka batintim bref. Yeah, but ule mfa kumbwa ile bosa, right? Now we up, ule mfa kumbwa ile bosa. Teofin. Mwai mona for ile. Gulanda mle itamba. I'm a mind games. And not only that, another thing that's really is being played here is this. They want you to make sure that you become desperate. To make sure that you become so desperate that when they impose a certain condition on you, you have no choice but to accept it. Because insala kapondo. You understand? So it's either they are playing around like the way they did with Zesco. So now you are praising the importation of electricity, the same electricity you had. You are praising it. Ah, come on. Electricity, mwa kwete mucharo chenu. Mwa embo kuireta food kura each time instead. Because the thing with exports is this. Zambia was supposed to be benefiting from this exports. And the money that was being generated, it could have been channeled within the energy sector or in other sectors of the economy. You've seen, if this sector of the economy is doing well, you export electricity. Then you use money, put it in another sector to boost other sectors of the economy. Now you have electricity that obviously was bringing in money when you are exporting, and it has not shown any benefit. On top of that, you start importing back the same So what was the point of exporting electricity? What was the point of exporting electricity? Chimwana kumaini fumukwete kumaini. Na mkwato mkuba. Ulea. But what benefit are even the people on the copper belt getting from the exportation of copper? What benefit? Apasto, people are saying copper belt yaruike kwa chichibodi. Ukufuma copper ekule yaruka kwa chichibodi. And you say you've got a working government. Which working government? You shouldn't problem you want to praise these leaders. If they are not working, you fire them. The same way you hired them, chap. That's why when I'm amaskupa mutu. Eh? Exactly. What Manze said, creating a problem, then you claim to solve it. But that problem was not even there in the first place. It wasn't that this problem that we're having of minimum. If we have a working government, the government that so preached about climate change, it could have anticipated to say, hang on a minute, we have a bumper harvest here. Why don't we see what happens next year? And if you still have some mess, then we can offload it to other countries. If not, Malungu had a plan. There's a reason why he built Amamilas. Because he wanted to export finished products. It's much beneficial to Zambian if you export a finished product. And that's what's going to bring me when it comes to lithium. The things that's happening in Congo and the MOU. You've seen. All the time, you are exporting raw materials. For how long has Zambia been exporting raw materials? And what benefit has it given Zambia? What benefits have Zambia gotten for 58 years of exporting raw material? I'll show you. Your father, Keke is standing in his grave. And I will prove to you in a video of why Keke is standing in his grave. Because what's happening in Zambia is history repeating itself. Keke experienced it. By the time Keke was realizing the oil was gone, do you know that Zambia had oil? Do you know that Zambia had oil? And that oil was taken away from you. I will play a video and I will explain as we go on further. By the way, Congolese, they are not people that
Mommy, can I get this?
No, you can't.
Okay, but Mama.
Yeah.
But see that thing there?
Yeah.
Looks a bit like a chaos emerald.
Yeah. It's a diamond. It looks like a diamond though. Oh, it's like an emerald, isn't it? So as we go on, I want to repeat myself. Ba Congo, tababanga ifu aba malanda kanwa. DRC Congo have been experiencing war for the past 20 years. They've never at one point come to steal your copper. They've never at one point in the 20 years its country has been disorganized, come in Zambia to steal your copper. Why are you then poking your nose in their business by stealing them? Because what we are doing as Zambians is stealing from them. That MOU that we've signed as Zambians, and I'm saying we, because we are all Zambians, we are stealing from the Congo people. They've never come here in our country to steal anything from us. We are going to take their lithium to bring it in Zambia. The person that was speaking, that was a Congolese, not me. I'm taking information from the Congolese. And all I'm saying is, the Congolese people, but let's watch this video. I want you guys to pay attention. The volume is not loud, but I think on this one, because it's not a Zoom call, I think it's gonna be loud enough, and I want you guys to listen. Pay very much particular attention to this, okay? Now we get into why UPND is not taking Zambia anywhere, okay? So let's do this. I will never insult you back. Never.
So I must thank the Critical Collective again for inviting me. I thought they never would after the last bad thing that I said. I must have upset lots of people, I'm sure. Every time I make a presentation I upset lots of people, but never the Critical Collective, so we must be thinking alike. I congratulate them, really. It's amazing to see so many people here. And I also congratulate scholars for linking again with Critical Collective. It's been some time, and I hope this partnership continues and flourishes, because this is just amazing to see the number of people. I have to apologize for two things. The first is, I have to apologize in advance. I'm not an expert on Africa. What I'm going to offer you, perhaps it's not enough, but it's some commonsensical observations. I hope it's common sense. But sometimes it's better not to be an expert, you know, to be able to see things from slightly afar. The second thing is, I'm wearing the wrong trousers. I was fixing my bike, so I wore my old trousers, and so please don't video this part, because my wife will immediately divorce me. Okay, so what I'm going to try and do is just give you some charts and a couple of tables, just to paint a little bit of a picture that you already know. Okay, so what this presentation is fundamentally designed to say is this. Africa, historically, sub-Saharan Africa, has been fundamental to the global prosperity of the advanced countries. Okay? And Africa had a role to play. It has a role as a raw material producer. We will not allow sub-Saharan Africa to escape that. Okay, we do everything to keep sub-Saharan Africa where it is, also impoverished. It's absolutely vital for the prosperity of everyone else. So let's get clearer.
So he's saying it's absolutely vital that we keep Africa impoverished. Africa should always be poor because it plays a vital role to the development of Western countries and whatnot. That's what he's saying. Can you hear him? I need you to confirm that you can, because I want you guys to listen. This is very serious. The truth lies here. Don't forget about those that are insulting. Pay particular attention to this. presentation.
About that. Okay, and this means all the economic structures, all the global institutions, and the economics we teach everyone is all designed to keep Africa exactly where it is. And whether it is Europe or US or now China, it's always the same. We need Africa to be impoverished because we need those raw materials and we need them dirt cheap. Okay, so that's the message. It doesn't mean to say that there's nothing Africans can do. Of course there is.
Listen, it doesn't mean to say, whilst we want Africa to be impoverished, it doesn't mean there's nothing that Africa can do. Okay, you are hearing him. Very good. Now listen to the next punchline.
Okay, but this is the opposition that they're fighting. This is what it's about. Because if Africa does do something different, I assure you living standards of all those in Europe and North America and Asia is going to fall. Okay? And that is a big price to pay. I assure you that the West is not going to allow that without a big fight. Okay, so this is what it's fundamentally about. What I want to show you is how these structures are operating. It's just 20 minutes, so we can't do very much, but just to give you a little bit of an idea. And why I keep the ideology part there is because we are part of the producers of ideology. At universities and academic institutions, we are complicit in this whole enterprise. Okay, so the job of many Western academics is to convince Africans they have to keep doing what they're doing. Okay? And to show them, it's your fault that you're poor. It's not our fault. It's your fault that you're poor. You know? So this is what we do in academic institutions, and I want to show that as well. We just start. This is what it's basically about, so you know what it's about. But I want to just show you the extent to which Africa is specializing in the production of raw materials and basic agricultural goods. We know the basic forces that have caused this underdevelopment. We know it's colonization. I will not discuss that very much because my colleague speaker is going to go into some aspects of this. But I do want to discuss the global economic structures, the global financial institutions, and economic ideology, briefly, to give you a flavor of those. Let me start with this. You can't really see it so easily, but if those of you who are interested, you want the PowerPoint, I'm sure we can make it available to you. But the thing that you really need to see is the top line. Okay? And the extent of dependency is captured by this statistic at the top. Okay? And you compare it with all other income groups, and what you see is essentially in that one statistic how dependent sub-Saharan Africa is on raw material production. Okay? This is the very heart of what makes sub-Saharan Africa beat. Okay? Here, just to have a look at one very important additional statistic, with all this export coming from sub-Saharan Africa, how much does sub-Saharan Africa account for in terms of global trade value? We know there are vast resources coming from there, but look at the bottom line in terms of global trade value. Look at that. 0.5%, 1975, 0.95.
0.9% of the global value. You are taking the raw materials. You are giving out your raw materials, and raw materials we're talking about is copper, lithium, all sorts of things, even in agriculture now. And it is vital for Africa to continue doing what it's doing. Don't wake up. Don't wake up. And this now makes sense because the Congolese guy, Mark Lushimba, said how we are played. There was this, he says it even him. It's to destabilize. I'll flip through the video because it's like a 30 minutes. I'll put a link from this video. He says, Howard Nicholas says, we need to provide them with aid just to keep them fidia, shani. And he also talks about destabilization of the country. And this made me wonder what was happening in PF. What used to happen in PF? There was chaos, there was destabilization in the country. And he talks about, and the Congolese guy, Mark Lushimba, talked about they will present this figure that they want to be there as a savior. And how I compared ECL and HH. And HH came in as a savior to save Zambia from this evil, bad dictator. Democracy is dying. This is what ECL was painted on the global picture. So what do we do as Zambians? ECL is evil, is a traitor, is a dictator, what. So our country gets destabilized. And then they fund this biggest opposition. And we all rush to that. Because him is going to bring democracy. Him is going to bring all these things we dream of in Africa. He's going to be the savior of Zambia. And this is what happened during the 2021 elections, truth be told. So, I started thinking, I said, looking at what was going on in Zambia, we don't even know what's gassing, economic, Edgar Lungu badi mulamfia. To a point like even me today, who's speaking to you, campaigned for HH. I always say that. That's how Bala and Fishe Edgar Lungu. I don't lie. I don't go to pretend like, oh, I didn't play a role in putting HH there. I did. I did play a role in putting HH in government. But it's not too late for me to make amends. It's not too late for me to say, hang on a minute, this is not what we voted for. It's not too late for me. So I'm here because I feel it's a duty for me to correct the mistake that I made in 2021. You understand? I've taken it upon myself to say, if I stood to decampaign Edgar Lungu on the basis that HH will bring democracy to Zambia, will bring freedom of speech to Zambia, will bring everything that we so wish for in Zambia, it will be hypocritical of me to pretend that everything is right with Zambia when I know it's not. This is why I'm here. I don't care if you insult. I have no interest in that. And I will never insult you back. Because my conscience right now is clear. God knows. My conscience is clear. Because I'm doing the right thing. I'm not going to become PS and pretend the miners are not suffering. You understand? I'm not going to be appointed as minister and pretend the agriculture sector is fine. Of course now, when I apologized to ECA, what did they do? They insulted me. Hey, why are you apologizing? They insulted me. The article is there. I don't lie. I apologize. It's there. I apologized actually in 2021. Oh, now when 3 months in by UPND government. I saw it 3 months and I started talking. 3 months most of my friends, if they are here, they will tell you, they were saying, Queen Coco, it's too early. Give them time. Most of my friends are here. Today they are calling me and saying, you were right. And I said, no. Ukwapela time, Gamulenda mu direction yako, but now ikwata promise. It's promising something. Then yes. But ingapadi ubulema, you have to speak. Mamunaka? So, the same way, Nalelanda, muni balungu, tapadi upusano na ba HH yo. The only difference is that HH was projected to Zambians as a savior. Somebody who's going to move Zambians out of poverty. And the very fact that in most of his addresses or political message to the Zambian people was Tule Chula, Nsala Mayanda, Ikakabunga kata mwakarapi misha, Kakuku inola kata kwa kalaba, is why I feel that Zambians were deceived. Because HH could afford to buy a bag of millimon even at 1,000 if it went there during PF. But it was all politics at play and not really caring for the Zambian people. That's why he was parading himself as this poor man. Remember the video of Mr. Msonda? Mr. Msonda warned us, but we never really listened because we thought, Mr. Msonda, Ed Galungu is a dictator. Ed Galungu is a dictator to them. So, what happens? We vote him out, we take him out. Take him out. He's a dictator. If you want to know history of how these leaders are used, read the history of Saddam Hussein, Osama bin Laden. If you read the history, I want you to go and research. Ask yourself who trained these people. And the same people that trained them, they hunted them down. Ask yourself that. So I want you to listen where it talks of manufacturing and industrialization. Where this man says Africa should not go into industrialization. Because if they go into industrialization and produce finished products, then ifokuno tuachura nishi. Because Africa will be exporting finished products. The finished products like electric vehicles. If we had a manufacturing plant in Africa, do you know what would happen? The lithium will be in Africa. The finished product will be in Africa. And you would have to export that finished product at even a much higher price with a very good return. You understand? But we don't have that. So we constantly, for years and years, export raw materials in order to import finished products, which means that money that was given to us in form of the raw materials we exported, we have to find money on top on that money to pay back so that we can import that electric vehicle. So where's development in there? We will still be a papa surface up. You have to wake up, and it begins with you, the children of Africa. You, the young people. It begins with you. Change your mindset. You can have even a president who's 40 years old. It doesn't matter. But as long as that president is taking you to greater heights. So, I want to move away a little bit with this video. I want to show you one clip, then I'm gonna switch to another video, okay? Imagine pressing Ashokwa Aretkanafi. Weratkana. Leta data ya kunch that our pole bepa. Champ wanish one shimya. Iranga wandetra fe data. Awa naranda toke hapa mwa wina boss. Nombanga muletukana. Nish nice bati. Chaingira. Chista chaingira chachoma kumutima, okay? Good. Right. So, let's continue. There's somewhere I want you guys to hear.
5% going down. How much are they getting for it? Nothing. Nothing. This is a very significant piece of data. Then I just want to show you what has happened to sub-Saharan Africa, because what we know, and from all studies, no country ever develops without manufacturing.
Now moving forward. All the studies are saying no country has ever developed without manufacturing. That quote. Now move forward. Again, no country. So stop about this. Oh, we are developing. This is why you need infrastructure development so you can start manufacturing in order for you. Singapore has become the first world country because it is manufacturing.
Okay, producing raw materials will not take you anywhere. Producing basic agricultural goods will not take you anywhere. And let's have a look at how much.
Wait, let's go back. I want pressing up. I want you guys to listen to this. Producing raw materials will not take you anywhere. Producing basic agriculture products is amataba, because you're not exporting finished products. Will not take. Let's play that.
Develops without manufacturing.
Let's go back.
Okay, to sub-Saharan Africa, because what we know, and from all studies, no country ever develops without manufacturing. Okay, producing raw materials will not take you anywhere. Producing basic agricultural goods will not take you anywhere. And let's have a look at how much manufacturing activity takes place in sub-Saharan Africa. We can look over the last 15 odd years, 15, 20 years. And we see manufacturing has actually declined as a percentage of the total. This is percentages of total production in sub-Saharan Africa. How much of it is accounted for by manufacturing? So this figure here is 17% of the total. Most of the rest, when we talk of industry, it includes manufacturing, but the bulk of it is mining. Okay?
No, for mining. This is mining. This is where Zambia's strength is. It's in mining.
Mineral extraction. This is the bulk of it. And here we see actually raw material extraction has stayed the same. What has caused industry to fall is the fall in manufacturing production. This is deliberate because we will never, as Western economists, as Western policymakers, we cannot afford to allow Africa to industrialize and start producing manufactures. Okay, so we will do everything to stop that. And I'm going to show you how we actually block that. It's obvious in certain ways, but it's less obvious in other ways. Now we have actually seen periods of rapid growth in sub-Saharan Africa, misleading people, saying, oh, you know, we're now doing much better. And this has happened recently. Recently, I've had students come and tell me, we've done much better now. And you can see growth rates rose quite sharply in recent times. Now are starting to go again down. But if you look historically, the same thing happened earlier. Why? Because in these two periods, we had East Asian rapid industrialization processes. So in the earlier period, we had Japan and Korea and Taiwan. Okay, rapid growth, sucking in raw materials from Africa, driving up the prices, and then sub-Saharan African countries grew. Exporting raw materials, they grew.
So now, what is simply talking about here is talking about what Japan did. Japan was getting raw materials at a higher price, not at a lower price. So even though Africa, at that quite sub-Saharan Africa growth rate, not really big, but even though there was a growth rate, Japan is because Japan was able to pay higher prices for those raw materials. So as a growth rate, But he's saying we are not willing to pay. We will determine the prices that we get these raw materials for. Because we have to keep these people where they are. They shouldn't change anything. Because we know for the fact that there's no country that grows without manufacturing. That's what, it's not me saying it. This is a well-renowned economist teaching. This is a course. Fundefi. Umonimule is lecturing. What do you think these economists, when they graduate, they will do? These students is lecturing and is emphasizing to say we shouldn't. So if these economists, if they graduate, what do you think? They'll continue on the same path. They'll continue ensuring that you don't go into industrialization. You don't manufacture finished products. This is what they're learning. Oh. Now, there's where it talks about aid. And this is where Ed Galungu comes in. But before I'll come back to this video, I want you guys to watch your president. KK. Monfwa. Your president. The person that got independence. I want you to watch him and listen to him speak. Listen to this story happened to him in Zambia when they wanted Chuluba. It's what this guy, before I play it, first of all, let me explain. Remember about Mark Lushimba. Again, I say, go and watch that video on Queen Mpomi's show. Mark Lushimba explained very well how they present a president from, say, KK was a dictator, right? We knew him as a dictator. As we know KK as a dictator. And then Chuluba was presented as a savior, isn't it? Somebody to liberate Zambians from Uchush Wakwa KK. The same history that has repeated 30 years later is what transpired between Hakainde Hichilema and Edgar Lungu. And I'll tell you why. So, KK narrates what they did to his economy. Mushtaya Unipi. He narrates, not in KK, your founding father, bro. He narrates. Now, I want you to marry it with what's happening right now in Zambia, okay? And analyze it by yourselves. Chiluba came in as a savior. And when he came in, because Chiluba came in as a savior, what did he do with your minds? Privatize them. Because that's what they wanted him to do. Again, go listen to Mark Lushimba. Then you understand what's going on. This is your founding father, right? This is KK, right? Hey, now listen to him.
When we discovered oil, presence of oil in our soil in Zambia, an important oil company from America came to join us. They began doing wonderful things there, investing, getting ready to start exploiting our oil resources. You know what happened? They appointed somebody called a resident director in Zambia.
To manage the oil.
To manage the oil, exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you. And then one day he came to me, Mr. President, can I invite you, come and see what we are doing by way of exploiting oil in your own country? I said, most welcome. So I put him on my plane, the fighter, the government aeroplane. We went to a certain district. We found the military choppers there. We got into those choppers. We went to this place where the exploitation was taking place. Now, This was wonderful, really incredible. Big machines here all over. A real development. And I was saying, thank God, thank God. Now copper and oil now will have power, real power. We'll be able to feed our people, do everything that we have been doing, even more. After a month or so, I was in the shock of my life. All those machines I saw, temporary homes, all had gone. I learned later that there was cooperation between the two, Ronald Reagan and Margaret Thatcher. They didn't like this talkative native president of Zambia who is talking so much about South Africa and so on, all these Bibles and so on. You can't feed him and these people. They paid, understand, some money, how many millions or billions, I don't know. But these people were taken out, this company of Zambia. So now what I'm saying is that when you have situations like that, your copper will only mind to a country if prices are good. But during my time when I was talking too much about South Africa, Rhodesia, all these colonial countries, some Western countries did not like that. And so they punished me, a real punishment, by putting down the prices of copper.
Does it ring the bell? He's saying they punished me. Real punishment, because I was talking about South Africa, how they can work together. So they punished him by bringing down the prices of copper. But at the time before, I'll explain it more.
And
Let me finish.
by pulling out, people are going to provide a lot of money for my schools, my hospitals and so on. So you can see the problem that we have, and I hope that someday organizations such as the World Bank, IMF, and so on will be able to perform in accordance with the requirements of the whole world, not just the...
Now so this IMF issue is not a new thing. You've seen. This man is the one that got your independence to be who you are today in Zambia, to be called Zambia, okay?
developed world.
So, Chinyanta Francis, thank you very much. We know we are not going to do, the thing is, we're not going to law. Let's focus. It's the distraction. They want to distract us from this path. You've seen. Some people that in Saudi are sponsored. They're well sponsored, well given bundles to just come and insult. So I'm not that stupid. I'm not. I can sense when somebody is just sent there. So I won't be distracted. So this is your founding father. And he explains to you how they made him pay. Because he was talking too much. He wanted something good for Africa. Even when they discovered oil, Zambia at one point had oil. He said, they took him to say, Mr. President, let's go, you see what's happening. We've discovered oil. So Keke was very happy. He said, we've got copper and now we have oil. This is real power. Thank you, God. So he went there to witness. And what happens was, he saw machines and whatnot. Everybody was there, just like what's happening now. Before he knew it, the machines were gone. The oil was gone. And he was left with nothing. This is not me speaking. Is your founding father. And here came Chiluba. Because at the time, Zambia still had ownership of the mines. So Chiluba came in, presented to us as a savior, right? And Chiluba also started following Keke because they have to destabilize you guys. They have to put this division, like the division that's happening now with Press Singer and the PF supporters, and now there's even this tribal talk of Tonga Bemba. For them, it's working. That's what's supposed to be. So I'm going to take this opportunity to talk to my Tonga brothers and sisters. Not everybody, but you guys that think Tamuakabemu, you are in it. We need to unite. If those leaders cannot unite us, let's unite ourselves as young people and work for the greater good. This thing has got nothing to do with me hating HH. I don't know the man. Why should I hate him? For what? If he wasn't a leader, I wouldn't even be talking about him. For what? It's because he's holding the key to our future. You've seen. That's why we talk about him. Because it's not just him who's got ambitions to be president. We want a Zambia where one day we can have a female president. A young female president. A young male president. We want Zambia to be intact. This is why we talk about him. Because at the moment we gave him the keys. We can choose to get those keys back. It's democracy, right? Yeah. So I'm taking this opportunity, speaking to my brothers. That's why you see if Mao Sampa is acting the way it's because he has to destabilize the peace in the country. That's his job. He's been sent to do that. You see. So what way do we do it? Is by attacking his own political party. Because at all costs, that political party should finish. You understand? And this has got nothing to do with PF. If you respect Bakeke in any way, shape, or form, listen to that video. If Keke, the person that ruled 27 years, could be done like that, what more? What more? This is your founding father. And Chiluba comes in, a savior. Oh, yes, yes, yes. The first thing he did when he came in, what did he do? Privatize the mines. And what has privatization done for Zambia after 30 years? What has privatization done for you after 30 years? Okay? And then, during Wanawasa time, we went to IMF for help. Okay? So, what did the IMF do after that? That period that we experienced during Wanawasa's time. What development did the IMF bring to Zambia? These are questions you should be asking yourself. But again, since I don't talk from without, I want to show you another video. And then I'm going to go back to show you why Edgar is smart and intelligent. But before I show you how Edgar is smart and intelligent, I'll go back to the video that was going to conclude that Edgar is smart and intelligent. I hope that you're following me. But let's watch this video. Listen to this. By the way, this woman is former US ambassador. AU, not even a country. AU, African
IMF.
Yeah, she's
all other institutions.
She's AU, former AU ambassador to the US.
They make African countries jump through hoops. Loans will never be able to pay. The US, when they borrow money, they're getting it in 1.5, 1.9 interest rate. Africans, when they get the same amount of money, they're paying 9, 10%. The people who don't need a break, they get a break. The ones who need a break, they don't get a break. The sheer survival of the World Bank IMF is based on the fact that African countries and many other developing countries do not succeed.
You've seen what she said? The sheer survival of the IMF is that developing countries do not succeed. What did this man say in the video? What did this man say in his video? Is it not the same message that is lecturing to say we have to ensure that Africa does not, stays where it is. How come they're not even, they're in two different sectors, these two. Him, different. Her, different. But they're speaking the same. She's speaking for Africa to wake up. He's speaking for the West to continue maintaining Africa where it is. So,
success is based on our failure. That has to change. And guess who can make that change? We, the children of Africa. We, the Africans, are the ones who have to say, we know your game now. Enough is enough. We're not playing it anymore. And this is where the diaspora come in. There are more Ghanaian doctors in New York City than in the entire country of Ghana. There are more Nigerian doctors in LA.
Listen about Congo. I want you guys to listen about Congo.
What Africa needs is capacity, capacity, capacity. And that capacity is in the diaspora. So it behooves us to bring the diaspora together. Let them understand what is really going on in our Africa. Diaspora are not going home. Diaspora are angry about Africa because they are not understanding the root cause of why Africa is where it is today. They think getting rid of a president will take care of the problem. Far from it. That president is just going to be replaced by another one who is going to equally suffer from the same difficult environment to work in. So let's look at an Africa that must be free to take care of herself, an Africa that's free from exploitation from outsiders. The multinationals who are stealing from Africa every day in broad daylight. I use an example of the DRC. If you ever fly very low over the DRC, you'll see tarmacs in the jungle. You'll see 747s flying into DRC, picking up minerals and flying right out. The same multinationals are responsible for arming young people and giving them MK-16s. Because why? Their satellites in the skies are telling them where that village is. There are lots of diamonds. So what do? Arm young people, drag them up, and send them to go chop off a few heads. The rest of the village runs away, so they come behind and do their illegal mining. We black people must understand what is really going on. Because what we are showing instead is, oh, look at those Africans killing each other. There are some serious games that have been played in Africa for far too long. And once we understand that, we can strategize as to how we can begin to bring the difference and bring the change that Africa needs. And that change can only come if the African diaspora are united. And the Wakanda villages, as I call them, it is our organized way of saying, starting with one African diaspora center of excellence, it will be a new city, a developmental hub that we can then take from there. Every sector is developed. Take healthcare. How many doctors do we need in this region to take care of this many people? We pick up education, same thing. We pick up engineering. We pick up electricity. How many megawatts of power do we have in the region? How many do we need? Be it solar, be it wind, be it hydro, be it geothermal, be it nuclear.
Wherever we want to go, our feet shall take us there. Mrs. Kasonde Mwenda, the president.
Why Mwenda? Awambe bale tukaba at PF slat. Mlapose nshita. Tavi womevyo. Tavi kawombe. Lesa nije but awe. Not if your path is this path. Tavi womba. Mletuna. I bet by UPND you never thought kwa ibaka mkashana kawanga ngashoka. Mlenye mulera pia. TNI. So, anyway, where were we? So, you've heard about that. And all this I'm showing you, I need you to connect and understand that right now, the UPND is in no capacity of giving you the dream Zambia that you think they are able to give you. How can, if they really had a path or they had solutions to our problems, why then make it even worse? How can you start making people queue up to buy a step of food? They're queuing up. And my question was, if UPND was doing really well, we shouldn't clap for them now 150. How can me, take an example, how can me as an individual go queue up for hours to buy one bag of meal meal to save 20 kwacha? Say the meal was at 170 marshal price or whatever, and they're selling it at 150. So if the economy was doing well, why should I waste 2 hours online just to save 20 kwacha? That's how bad things are. Because I would rather buy ubunga at 170 knowing that I'll be able to make in these 2 hours 300 kwacha. Then you know the economy is functioning. You understand? Then you know you've got a functioning economy. Idianinsala. People are trying to save 20 kwacha, spending 2 hours pamulain. And you want us to clap? 58 years backwards? Are you serious? Are you serious? You want people to clap for 20 kwacha? Huh. Anyway, don't play with people's minds. Don't play with people's minds. You want us to clap for 20 kwacha? Ubunga mwabusangire parishinga. Ubunga mwasangire pa 120 kwacha. O mwale punde tu say ubunga na kudula. Muli nsara mayanda. Imo mulesha pari 150 and you want us to clap. Let the praise singers praise. But fuwa kwata kwa ifpalakasa. No. Not this one. Not this. Inka totanga wife kabari 50 kwacha. Inka totanga mikunkwila. Inka kunkula punch. Because that's what you promised. You can't change words now. You said the PF was not working. If tukala bomba. Ngatu I support fertilizer 250 kwacha. No bunga 50 kwacha. And mwali konkomesha mule kutika. So why should I clap for, in fact, 3 times expensive? 3 times. Ngamaranya 50 kwacha meshi per 150. 2 times more expensive. Why one? So inkatota ngamwabu bwesha pali famwana ndire for now nifimbo poki. So anyway, let's go because people want to go. Oh, I've actually done well because I wanted to play all these videos. I wanted to stop at 21. So I'll be stopping in the next 15 minutes. But before I stop, I want you to listen about aid. Then you listen at isi. Oh, moi sonde to say no kumutuka. Lete kanya.
After those countries finished
listen to this.
Then sub-Saharan African growth rate again fell. Okay, but along comes China. Next wave. Okay, again, sub-Saharan African growth rises, but now China is going down, as many of you now know from the press.
You've seen, China came, Africa's growth started going up, now China is going down, so Africa is going to drop. So who's better here?
China is going down, but sub-Saharan Africa is going down even faster. And we're going to go back to where we were again with very low prices of raw materials, very low growth rates.
Manfa, you've seen the mind games. We are going to go back where we were again. Because China, this is why they're fighting. China came to Africa, it boosted Africa. So now China that is going down, sub-Saharan Africa is even going down faster. And we're going to go back to lower prices of raw materials. Listen to this.
And again, the sorts of poverty that we saw once before. Because, bottom line, sub-Saharan Africa is condemned to this role. Just the supplier of raw materials, not a manufacturer. Very recent data showing emerging markets that produce raw materials against emerging markets that produce manufacturers. And you can see now with the weakness in the global economy, it's the emerging markets, that's the red line. It's those countries that are suffering the most, the emerging markets producing raw materials. They're suffering the most. And here it translates into their currencies being butchered.
Have you seen currencies? What is happening to the kwacha?
Of these countries, and many of them are sub-Saharan African countries. Some of them are Latin American countries, okay, who also rode that same wave. They thought that raw material production was going to save them. But now they're facing terrible problems. And I'm sorry to say, it's just going to get worse in the next 2 years. It's not going to get any better. And this was it.
Next 2 years is going to get worse. It's not going to get any better.
This is what it does in terms of gross domestic product. It's the blue line you should look at. It's the blue line compared with the red line. And what we know is that blue line is really going to go down sharply in the next 2 years. Okay, so relative to the rest of the world, sub-Saharan Africa is going to suffer. Again, why? Because it's condemned to this raw material production. This is basically why. How is it condemned to that? Well,
listen to this point.
The first and most important is the economic structures.
Listen to this.
After colonization ended, we needed new structures to keep these countries where they were. Okay? And the first of those is aid.
Aha! Now I want you guys to pay very particular attention on this point. This is the point I want you to hear. Then I'll show you the Edgar Lungu video. Okay? He said after colonization ended, we needed to strategize to ensure that Africa stays where it is. And some of the economic strategies that we did was aid. Aid. Now listen to what he says about aid.
Okay, we give them aid. Aid for what? Actually, we give them aid to keep repressive regimes in power. That's all. Okay, we're not giving them aid for much more except a little bit of infrastructure to make sure those raw materials get to the ports and aren't gotten out of the ground. But for the most part, we give repressive regimes money and power and guns to keep that system going. This is what it's fundamentally about. All the hypocrisy about transparency and democracy and bullshit like that, it's all bullshit. You know? And at least the Chinese don't enter into that bullshit. They say, we don't care about the whole political environment, we just give the money. Okay? And it's for raw material extraction, period. Okay? Number two, and this was a very important one, still is debt. I was telling some of my students today, was it today or yesterday, about Confessions of an Economic Hitman. You remember this? Have any of you heard of this one? Confessions of an Economic Hitman.
I will show you that video, but because it's getting late and I'd like to put my son to bed, that video has told you how they strategize to give you aid. What? Oh, Shan, you call they've released so much aid. That's what they want you to feel like, oh, your president is doing something. Cash. Now, the icing on the cake before I go. Edgar Lungu, listen to what he's saying. He wants us to kill us. Listen, connect this video about aid. That man is intelligent. I just never knew how intelligent Lungu was until now that I've done my research. Edgar Lungu. Eh? Listen to what he said.
If IMF thinks we have gone beyond the norms of good governance and democracy, they are free to go. If IMF thinks we have gone beyond the norms of good governance and democracy, they are free to go. If IMF thinks we have gone beyond the norms of good governance and democracy, they are free to go.
Now, another one that I want to show you. Moimona, you insulted him on that video, okay? But there's another video that he says, if you're gonna make us do what we don't want to do and tie it to aid, then I'm afraid you can let us scavenge in poverty. We didn't know what it was meaning. We just thought, this man wants to kill us with hunger. You've seen. But after all these videos that you've seen, it's here. I have it.
Zambia is a religious conservative country.
I want you to show this.
And it has some of the toughest supporters of their president.
To be split because we want to be seen to be
Listen to this.
His stand on the issue when he spoke to us.
We are saying no.
Remember this video?
Why should you say we're going to be civilized if we only allow it? Are you saying we are very primitive now because we are frowning upon homosexuality? Even animals don't do it. Why should we be forced to do it because we want to be seen to be smart, to be seen to be civilized and advanced and so on?
The row blew up after two men, seen here with their lawyer, were jailed for 15 years for taking part in what's known in the country as appears to have had a cordial relationship with the Zambian leader up until now. Here he's being shown around the State House gardens in Lusaka. But the US diplomat...
What happened when Lungu said that? Do you remember what happened to Walungu? Immediately that came out, what happened to... All this time they had a very good relationship. The ambassador of the US and whatnot, he was always at State House. As soon as ECL came out like that, to say if you're going to tie this to aid, then I'm afraid you can leave us and scrounge in poverty. That's a man and a half who stands up for what he believes is right. And I've got nothing against whatever was said in there. But I'm giving you an example of how these leaders work. You have to stand up. And what happened to Lungu? He was scandalized. The Kwacha shot. The US ambassador left. The economy became, the Kwacha depreciated. Everything was just a nightmare. And who came out on top as a savior? Who came out on top as a savior? And from today, if I was you, I would stop. I would have caught that man the respect he deserves. Because no. Some men would rather get rich and just accept anything that comes. Again, this was just an example. I live in a country where this is practiced. But according to your constitution, it's not allowed. You know? So he stood for what he believes in. And if you as an individual, like what I'm doing now here, I'm standing for what I believe is the right thing to do. If today things came worse in Zambia, God forbid, I will look back at these videos that I'm showing you and I'll be so proud of myself to say, at least I did my part. I can't force you to listen. I can't force you to agree with me. All I'm saying is I'm sharing information that you might not be aware of. It's up to you to make a decision. But at least I know for sure that my conscience is clear. Because I cannot sit knowing this information and let whatever is happening in Zambia continue happening without sharing with you guys. It is a duty of everybody. If you have information, you need to share with your people. So that whenever people had to make informed decisions, they can make it because they have the knowledge. Not because they are being lied to say, if you do this, me, I'll do this. Napwisha nalanda newakakaluba. So thank you so much. I'm really grateful to you guys that we still have 654 people watching. And for me, speaking for 2 hours and having you guys here, it's a blessing. I think I'm doing something right. Because if I wasn't, I wouldn't have you guys here. So thank you so much. Don't mind about the people that are in South. But otherwise, I appreciate you. God bless you. God bless Zambia. Have a lovely night. Enjoy your weekend. And pray. Don't send them ever to pray. Mwayo mfuila, mwewa kombea mfumu. Natasha pakashita mwampera okwebati nsupawire ko utumari ashi oto nachikwa nokusupawira na iwe. Mwamuna kabatata mayo konso komule ngufuila ndi mwana wenu Natasha ngana mtamba na totela. But again, mwaiba kona bana benu misepela okwebati next time tuingafwaya uteko wakwebati wachingirira ichalo ichesu. So that n'abana kokukula bakakwate ichalo echo bengeta ati this is home. Okay, let's not throw away the beautiful thing that we have because of selfish leaders. I will put the link on this video just after when I switch off so that you can go and watch. There are about 3 videos of him, of the same man, talking about everything, Fofiambile and whatnot. This video, I just got it so I can share with you. Thank you so much. God bless you.
That said he was personally horrified at the jail.
So, before we go, there's a new song from Your Maps, and we're gonna play it, okay? Before I go. I have to play it. Fatima. So, Your Maps has released Fatima. So before I go, let's play that song. Okay? Good night, good night, good night, good night. I'm glad that I've actually in time to finish everything that I wanted to finish, which is very good. Okay.
Grammarly is a digital writing assistant that works seamlessly across platforms and devices to help users to write more fluently and effectively. English is my first language, so I've been learning it help in my essays. Grammarly now has a premium version which provides a much more in-depth.
Come with data. You don't know remember. Come with data. Then you can shivaga. Was that the dispute you say if you're from Alanda? Come with data. Then I'll just shut up. I'm like, I'm not giving people anything. You know what I mean? But when you're in South, I just nenish na mumfo. Talk to tuka nenish na mumfo. Acha kuingira. Chacha na kumuti wacha ingira. Kuna people, Maxwell Perry. Let me do some shout outs before we go. Faxon Perry, Rob, Rupupa. You guys have been great. Thank you so much. Love you all. Maki says sana. Mama chala chako not Maki says, Job Bala. Hey, man,